The Arctic is no longer a frozen wasteland. It's the world's next geopolitical battleground. As melting ice unlocks vast, untapped resources and new strategic routes, global superpowers like the US, China, Russia, and the EU are racing to stake their claims. But this isn't just about oil and shipping lanes, it's a power struggle that could reshape the future of global dominance. So why is the Arctic suddenly the most contested region on Earth? And what are the real stakes in this high-stakes battle for control?
1.5 degrees
global warming
in the next 5 years.
for the first time ever
Global warming has exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius.
for an entire year.
Iris A. Ferguson, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defence for Arctic and Global Resilience, recently delivered a stark message to policymakers and military strategists alike. The Arctic strategic environment is changing profoundly, and the United States must pay greater attention and dedicate more resources to this crucial area. Speaking at a high-level forum hosted by the Centre for Strategic and International Studies, Ferguson laid out a blueprint for why the Arctic must be at the forefront of American strategic interests. With melting ice and a warming climate accelerating at nearly 4 times the global rate, the region is rapidly transforming from an isolated expanse into a dynamic theatre of military, economic, and scientific competition. Ferguson's message is clear. The US can no longer afford to view the Arctic as a backwater of global affairs. Instead, it must be seen as a vital piece of the national security puzzle, one that demands continuous monitoring and robust investment. As the ice recedes, not only do new shipping lanes and untapped mineral deposits emerge, but also opportunities and threats from rival powers eager to stake their claim in this high-stakes game. Unlike the traditional Arctic nations, China's entry into the Arctic arena might seem surprising at first glance. After all, China is not geographically bound to the North Pole, and it has no historic ties to the region. Yet, Chinese leaders have seized upon the Arctic as a symbol of modern power projection and economic opportunity. In a move that has caught the attention of many, Beijing has positioned itself as a key player by collaborating closely with Russia, an established Arctic heavyweight. Chinese strategic planners view the Arctic as a new crossroads of the world, a gateway to raw materials, untapped resources, and novel trade routes that could redefine global commerce. Their ambitions, however, extend beyond mere economic gains. The region offers China a platform to display its growing prowess on the world stage, using soft power, scientific research, and strategic partnerships to gain influence far from its home territory. As Ferguson noted, China is one of the newer entrants on the scene. Over time, the strategic interests they have in the region are giving us pause. How their long-term vision for the Arctic might affect our interests is a matter of serious concern. This deliberate encroachment into the Arctic by a nation that has traditionally focused on domestic development and regional influence underscores a broader shift in global power dynamics. China's actions signal that the Arctic is not just a frozen frontier, but a vital arena for power projection, a place where the ambitions of non-Arctic nations can intersect with those of established players, potentially rewriting the rules of global geopolitics. While China plots its entry, Russia remains steadfast in its Arctic ambitions. Despite the ongoing geopolitical fallout from its contentious actions in Ukraine, President Vladimir Putin continues to invest heavily in both military and economic strategies aimed at consolidating Russian influence in the High North. We're seeing Russia continue to have immense focus on the Arctic region, and it's part of their security calculus vis-à-vis the US and NATO, Ferguson asserted. Even as international criticism mounts, Russia's resolve in the Arctic remains unshaken, a determination that is as chilling as the polar winds. For Russia, the Arctic is not merely an area of strategic importance, it is an intrinsic part of its national identity and future security framework. The region's vast resources and strategic shipping routes are seen as essential components of Russia's long-term economic and military planning. In many ways, the Arctic represents a dual-edged sword. It offers lucrative opportunities for resource extraction and transportation, while simultaneously serving as a buffer zone against what Russia perceives as Western encroachment. The Russian leadership's unwavering commitment to the Arctic, even amid the distractions of conflict elsewhere, suggests that this region will continue to be a focal point of their geopolitical strategy for years to come. No discussion of the Arctic's geopolitical significance would be complete without addressing the transformative impact of climate change. As the polar ice caps recede, the Arctic is becoming more accessible than ever before. Ferguson emphasised that climate change is still a factor in the region, where the area warms at some 4 times the rate of the rest of the world. This rapid warming not only accelerates the physical transformation of the landscape, but also triggers a cascade of economic and strategic opportunities and challenges. New shipping lanes are emerging, offering shorter routes between major global markets, while vast reserves of oil, gas, and rare minerals are coming within reach. These developments have ignited a flurry of competitor activity among the world's leading powers. For nations with the resources and ambition to operate in these extreme conditions, the Arctic is quickly evolving into a stage where economic interests, military strategies, and environmental concerns converge. At the same time, this rapidly changing environment poses serious questions about sustainability and security. With more countries eyeing the region, there is a growing risk of disputes over maritime boundaries, resource rights, and environmental protection. As nations rush to secure their positions, the balance between cooperation and confrontation hangs in the balance, a precarious situation that could have far-reaching implications for global stability. In response to these challenges, the United States has embarked on a comprehensive strategy designed to maintain stability and security in the Arctic. Central to this approach is the enhancement of domain awareness, ensuring that US forces can detect and respond to potential threats in real time. Ferguson outlined one of the Defense Department's primary lines of effort. We're really focused on engaging with our allies and partners. This commitment to building strong coalitions is seen as a unique strategic advantage for the US, especially when combined with the geographical spread of its 7 like-minded partners stretching from European Russia's borders to the Bering Strait. These partnerships are not merely symbolic. They represent a formidable network of military and strategic cooperation that enhances the collective capability to monitor, deter, and respond to any form of competitor activity. In a region where the margin for error is razor-thin and the stakes are incredibly high, these alliances provide an essential counterbalance to the aggressive maneuvers of adversarial forces. Moreover, the US strategy includes a robust program of military exercises specifically designed to deter potential challengers. We've long had exercises that operate in the region, but we're really looking at how we can use those as a deterrent effect, working alongside our allies and partners, Ferguson explained. These joint exercises are not only a demonstration of military readiness, but also a clear signal to rival powers that any attempts to upset the balance of power in the Arctic will be met with a swift and unified response. While the spotlight often falls on the US, China, and Russia, the European Union also plays a significant role in the Arctic equation. European nations, many of which have historical ties to Arctic exploration and resource development, are keenly aware of the transformative changes occurring in the region. For the EU, the Arctic represents both an opportunity for economic growth and a challenge for environmental governance. As member states navigate the complex interplay between development and sustainability, the EU is working to ensure that the region's exploitation does not come at the expense of its delicate ecosystem. European policymakers are increasingly focused on establishing regulatory frameworks that balance resource extraction with environmental protection, aiming to prevent a race-to-the-bottom scenario that could irreversibly damage one of the planet's most unique and vulnerable regions. In doing so, the EU is positioning itself as a mediator and a stabiliser, an essential voice in the broader debate over how the Arctic should be governed and developed in the years to come. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below.